Philadelphia Eagles fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Jay All Day NFL Show. In today's episode, what we're going to do is continue the series where I give you 4 players in each of the first 3 rounds that I think the Philadelphia Eagles will be targeting in the upcoming draft. Today's episode is round 2. I'll leave a link in the description down below for round 1. As you can see, if you take a look at your screen right now, the players from round 1 were Donovan Ezeiruaku, Trey Amos, Nick Emmanwori, and TJ Sanders. 3 out of those 4 guys are already coming in to the building for pre-draft visits for the Philadelphia Eagles. And now, round 2, here we go. Let's kick off it with these guys. Ben Morrison, the cornerback from Notre Dame. One of the best cover guys in this entire draft class. Then we got Donovan Jackson, the offensive lineman, extremely versatile guy. Originally a guard at Ohio State, and then when Simmons got hurt, he kicked out to tackle and played extremely well. I think the Eagles are going to value that versatility. And then we have Elijah Roberts, the edge defender, more of a 3-4 edge that can kind of take over that Milton Williams role. And then we got Charles Grant, the dude with monster arms. He's like Stretch Armstrong, over 34, almost 35-inch arms, the offensive tackle. One of my favorite players as well. All right, let's get into each one of these players. I'm going to break them down for you and let you know why I think they're great fits for the Philadelphia Eagles. Here we go, all my Eagles fans. The first guy we're going to talk about today is honestly one of my favorite players in this entire draft. That's Benjamin Simmons from Notre Dame. Got hurt this year, dealing with some hip stuff, but he's going to be fine come day 1 of camp, in my opinion. All right, 6 foot, 193, 9.25-inch hands, arm length, 30 3/8. Pretty short arms for sure. Production score, 80. Athleticism score, 76. Total score, 79. He did not participate in the combine because he's still nursing that injury. But if you guys go look at the tape on Ben Morrison, man, you're going to be very, very impressed. He's a very sticky corner, man coverage guy. I just love everything that he does. One of my favorite players. You can't really look at the 2024 grades on him because he was dealing with that injury all season long. But I do think when the dust settles, he's going to be a top 3 cornerback in this draft class if he's not number 1 when it's all said and done. But he's probably going to fall into the second round because of this hip injury, right? In 2023, for the Fighting Irish, 79 overall grade. Very impressive player, man. 60 overall passer rating against, 29 when in 2022. This guy is very sticky in coverage, man. Very hard for players to separate against him. I do love Ben Morrison. He's being mocked to the Packers, Bills, and Philadelphia Eagles so far, right? Morrison is a smart, smooth-moving man coverage cornerback with good instincts for making plays on the ball. I love him, man. He's a high IQ guy. One of the higher, him and Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia, some of the most high Q guys in this draft class. And this guy can come up close to the line of scrimmage and help defend the run. He's a willing tackler. He's got good speed with that excellent man-to-man coverage. I just love everything about his game. Good awareness, high IQ, physical, man. He gets in people's hips and just stays there, right? He's in their pocket throughout the entire route, and he's smart enough to know when to turn his hips around and make a play on the football. He's got good size to it, 6 foot, 190 pounds. That's pretty prototypical size, right? I just think even for like a 6-footer, you know what I mean? He's got okay arm length, and I think he's just really good at positioning his body to make plays on the football. Ben Morrison, I would love to see the Eagles get him. This way, if he kicks out to the other corner spot, him and Quinyon on the outside, leave Cooper DeJean in the slot. Will they go Trey Amos in round 1? It depends how the board falls, right? If all the defensive linemen and edge defenders they really like are gone, maybe they go Trey Amos. But I think cornerback is probably more of a second round filling position for the Eagles, in my opinion, right? I think they're probably going to go either like Nick Emmanwori, like who was on my list, or someone on the edge, depending on who falls, or, the Milton Williams role on the 3-4 D line. All right. I love that pick. Ben Morrison, I would love to see him play for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next up, we got Charles Grant from William and Mary, 6'5", 311 pounds. Would like to see him add a little more LBs for sure. Coming in. PFF had him at 6'4", 300, so he has put on a little bit of size since those measurables were given to PFF, right? Gaining 10 pounds, I like to see that. 34 and 3/4 inch arms, guys. Woo, baby! Almost 35 freaking inch arms. That is great for a tackle at 6'5", not too tall, where defenders are able to get up underneath his pads and shift them all over the line, control him. 6'5", 34 and 3/4 inch arms, that's pretty prototypical. Production score 86. Athleticism score 73. Overall score at 78. He did not do anything at the combine besides the bench press, which comes in kind of middle of the road in my opinion. Okay, one of the best things about Charles Grant, guys, is he hasn't played a lot of football. He didn't start playing football until his junior year of high school, so there's not a lot of wear and tear on that body. And you put him in Statland U, and you can really develop all these high quality traits that he has with that ridiculous arm length, good size, 6'5". I mean, he is just an absolute monster. I love myself some Charles Grant. He came in for a top 30 visit for the Philadelphia Eagles. He only gave up 3 sacks over the last, 700 snaps. Not too bad. 2 sacks, 1 hit, 6 hurries. Not a lot considering it's closing in on 400 pass snaps. And he's just as good in the run game, if not better. Run block grade 90, pass block grade 88. Again, he hasn't played top tier competition coming out of William and Mary, right? So we don't know how that's going to translate to the NFL level, right? But if Statland likes the tape, we trust Statland. They brought him in for a top 30 visit for a reason, right? So you got to think Statland and this offensive unit sees something in him that could be developed at the next level. I love myself some Charles Grant. He's got light and powerful in his lower body, above average lateral quickness, gets across defenders on reach blocks with ease because of those long freaking arms, and he advances to the second level, and that's great in this run scheme that the Eagles implement, right? Get out, move around, get out in space, make some blocks on the second level, and let Saquon Barkley run for days. I love bringing in Charles Grant potentially in the second round, and maybe if he slides, even the third round. All right, now we're going to talk about another offensive lineman that I really like. Donovan Jackson, the guard from Ohio State. Extremely versatile guy, 34.5-inch arms, smaller hands under 10 inches, 315, 6'4". Production score 73, athleticism score 83. Some of his strengths: guard prototype with thick chest, broad hips, long arms, and big hands, able to punch and stay clinched from a distance, uses core power, hip flexion, and hand resets to throw out bull rushes. He's just a stable guy, big, hulking guy in the middle of that offensive line. Probably more of a guard. Probably, if they draft him, is the team's best guard, in my opinion. He did kick out and play tackle when Simmons from Ohio State got hurt, right? So he had a couple hiccups in the middle of this year when he had to go over to the left tackle position. But 1, 2, 3, last 4 games of the year against big-time programs like Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame, all pretty good grades, man. He only gave up 2 sacks all year long. Left guard, he played 286 snaps. Left tackle, 529, but played 823 and 22 at the left guard position. He could switch over to right guard, no problem, in my opinion. Here are the trends. We could see him going in the first round to the Seahawks, maybe early second round to the Patriots or the Bears if they want to upgrade the offensive line a little bit. The Patriots definitely do. The Bears maybe not so much now, especially because they made all those upgrades with bringing in guys like Joe Thuney and upgrading pretty much the whole offensive line got revamped, right? He's got good footwork. He doesn't really get overpowered because he's so big and strong. PFF has him at 6'4", 320, and then he came in at 6'4", 315. Lost a little bit of weight. Needs to put that size back on. I would like to see him 6'4", 325 if he's going to stick at guard for the Philadelphia Eagles. Very impressive guy. I do like his potential in this offense. He would make a lot of sense for the Philadelphia Eagles because he could play both guards positions, probably could play center too, and both tackle spots. Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, guys, very interesting player. And then now, the fourth and final guy in our round 2 targets is Elijah Roberts from SMU. Originally from Miami, Florida, 6'4", 285 pounds. You know, he's going to take over the Milton Williams role in this defense if he gets drafted, right? He's an inch taller and about the same size. 285, 290. That's kind of where Milton Williams sat. He was at 6'3", 290. He's at 6'4", 285. Elijah Roberts could definitely put on a little size, over 10-inch hands you like to see. Arm length coming in almost at 34 inches. Another what I really, really like. His combine, not great. 17th overall in the total score, 69th, you know. Athleticism score, 22nd, you know. Total overall score, you know. This is an end of the second round pick, but the 40-yard dash, pretty good for a guy that's going to be, you know, a 3-4 edge. You know, a lot of these numbers are against edges that are a lot more athletic, right? Like that, he's more of like a D lineman than an edge, but they have him listed as an edge, right? So when the D and edge comparisons are a little wonky because you get the really smaller bodied guys that are super athletic, right? He's like, most of these outside linebackers are in that 6'2", 6'3" range at the most, in that 245 to 255 pound range, maybe even a little bit smaller. But at almost 300 pounds, running a 4.78 40, he's hauling some serious ass, you know? So I like him. I think he's a really good player. You know, compiled 23.5 tackles for a loss, 17.5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles in the last 2 seasons. Production. I like guys that are toolsy, but if you can't produce on the field, I don't give a shit how great of an athlete you are. There's been plenty of great athletes over the years that the Eagles drafted, like Marcus Smith, who was complete ass cheeks, right? So I'm not into the whole toolsy. I want you to have good tools, but know how to use them. You could be fast and athletic and jump out the room, but if you can't get off blocks and figure out where to find the football and like get your nose in the backfield, then I don't give a shit. He's really great at beating run blocks. He's got longer arms, so he's able to kind of grab and shift guys around because of that strength and kind of jump gaps and fill them up and stop the run. You know, I really like myself some Elijah Roberts. Some of the weaknesses, needs to play pass blocks with eyes and diagnose the action a little bit instead of like rushing in and then figuring it out. You want to anticipate a little bit. Foot quickness and change of direction are below average, probably because of that size coming in around 300 pounds. He can be mirrored and controlled by anchored, strong tackles, right? So he's definitely got to work on some clubs or some swim moves or figure out other ways to win on the edge to get to the pass rusher, right? PFF has him listed at 6'4", 295. You know, he's strong, well-built guy. Stats don't lie. You know, 21 sacks over the last 2 years, 18 quarterback hits, and you're talking about 92 hurries. He is really disrupting passers, man. Really, you know, 372 pass rush snaps, right? So more than 10% of them, he's creating hurries. Pass rush win rate over 22%. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no freaking sense. That's a huge number. And the true pass rush grade over 90. You know, not the best run defender in the world. I want to see him get a little more physical at the point of attack. 81 overall grade is still pretty decent, right? And he had good games against Clemson, Penn State, Cal, Pitt, Duke. You know, he could take over games. 3 games with over 90 grades. This one's an 87. But in that blue area where, like, he was really, really, really impressive. I don't know what happened these first 2 games of the year. That doesn't really make any sense to me. But, wow, what an impressive run he went on the rest of his time this year at SMU for the Mustangs, right? So, guys, here we are with our first 2 rounds done. We did round 2 today. Round 1 was yesterday. I'll leave a link in the description for that video below. But here are the 8 guys. Eman Wari, the safety. Ezra Raku, the edge defender. TJ Sanders, more of a D lineman. more of that Milton Williams role. Trey Amos, the cornerback. Ben Morrison, another corner. Donovan Jackson, kind of tackle guard hybrid. Elijah Roberts, more of the Milton Williams D-line role. And then Charles Grant, a great offensive lineman. So what are the trends we see here? Safety, cornerback, edge defenders, D-lineman, offensive lineman, right? This team is built on the trenches. The players we lost this offseason are a lot of them in the trenches. Remember, no Josh Sweat. He's with Arizona. Milton Williams went to the Patriots. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got shipped out to the Texans. Darius Slay went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So a lot of opportunity for these young guys to establish roles. We do have some guys like Ajomo and Jalix Hunt that can step in and fill those roles, but we'll have to see how that kind of works out, right? We'll have to see how that works out. And whoever the best man is at camp wins, right? As you could see, like what happened last year, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean took a couple games, but then that's it. They got in and then he never left, right? Once Cooper DeJean got healthy and Quinyon Mitchell proved himself, they never came off the field. I think some rookies in the first 2 rounds of the Eagles can draft from this bunch of players. Out of 8 of these guys, if we can get 2 of them, a guy like TJ Sanders and Trey Amos could fall into the second round. Ben Morrison maybe could even fall into the third round. So we got to hope a lot of these running backs and wide receivers and quarterbacks go early so it'll push these guys down the board, and that could be great for the Philadelphia Eagles as they make a run for back-to-back Super Bowl championships. I love it. Eagles fans, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning into the video. Peace.